TIFU by knocking on my girlfriend's door, by user Youngtamsoy. My GF lives in my apartment complex and I met her one day in September while I was out walking my dog. We ended up going on a date that same night and pretty much instantly hit it off and started hanging out with each other almost every day. We would spend whole days together on weekends and we did so many fun things together. I really enjoyed her company and started falling for her. My girlfriend warned me in November that from mid-month to December 15th she would be unavailable. I thought that meant that I wouldn't be able to see her that often. I didn't know that it meant communication from her would become almost non-existent. She stopped texting me the usual "I miss you" or saying "good night handsome." It started going longer between texts. After a half week of this I talked with her and asked if she was okay, and if we were okay. She explained that we were okay but she was just incredibly busy and all she really has capacity for is work and sleep, and maybe stopping to eat. But she apologized for making me feel anxious and said she would try. Well, time went on and it got to be 2 weeks since we had spent any time together. I had gotten to see her a few times for maybe 5 minutes in passing. Then my texts and calls started going unanswered. She had told me the last time we were able to speak on the phone that if I ended up getting off early enough on the following Saturday that I could come over for a bit and we could hang out. I called her that night and it rang to voicemail. I walked my dog when I got home and when I walked by her apartment I saw that all of her lights were off. So when I got home I texted that it looked like she passed out and I hope she got some good sleep. I didn't hear back for 3 full days. It didn't look to me like her car ever moved out of her driveway. I never saw lights on passing by her house. I started to get worried about her because I know she struggles with certain health issues, is super stressed and hates her job. It seems like she suffers from symptoms of depression. So I texted her just saying I wanted to check in on her and it makes me feel worried when I don't hear back for this long from her. I still didn't hear anything that day. By the following day I was extremely worried about her. I couldn't think about anything else. I reached out to her best friend and asked when the last time that she had heard from her was. She told me it was the prior week. I expressed my worry and said I wanted to give her space but that I was getting worried and I was thinking about going to check on her. Her friend told me that 4 days is plenty of space and that I should go check on her. I went home on my lunch break, and I walked over to her house. My anxiety was in my throat. It was still dark in her house from what I could see. Her blinds were all closed. I knocked on the front door. No answer. I rang the doorbell. No answer. I knocked again a bit harder. No answer. I rang the doorbell again. No answer. I knocked hard enough that I felt like she would be able to hear it from the bedroom. No answer. I had my phone out with her text message up and I start seeing the typing bubble. I am on a fucking client call, stop knocking. I immediately left. I sent a text message saying sorry, I was just really worried about her. I thought more and added a little later on that I realized I went overboard with the knocking and I was really sorry. It went another full day and I didn't hear back. I talked to my father who said it doesn't seem like she is communicating, treating you very well. I told him I just wanted to talk to her and I had half a mind to go knock on her door now, at night, just to talk with her and let her know what is going on in my mind. But I was worried about looking crazy or ruining things further. He asked me how much would change from how things have been going, at least if I did this and I could talk with her I would have an answer. So I wrote a text telling her I was gonna stop by for in 5 minutes to just chat for a bit, and that was really important that we talked. I went over and rang her doorbell. No answer. So I went home and wrote a text telling her how much I liked her, and how this whole situation was making me feel. How I was feeling like I was being ignored and being treated less than. How I needed some communication. How a single text every once in a while would go such a long way. I told her this wasn't a "you need to call me tonight or it's over," but I said I needed to hear from her. I woke up the following morning to see she had sent me a long text around 4 a.m. telling me how busy she has been, which I knew. How she has barely had capacity to even get to her desk. That she has been working 14-hour days and just crashing. Telling me that she'd already told me she would be unavailable. She said coming to her door while she was working and banging on it was incredibly uncalled for. She said her car had clearly been moved. She said that me doing that while I knew she would be unavailable, and she was at work, she works from home, during work hours is a hard line for her. I didn't know that unavailable meant zero contact or being able to see her at all. But regardless, in one fell swoop I ended my relationship with someone I cared about deeply. All because I couldn't get a grip on my anxiety and be patient. TLDR got worried about my GF after not hearing from her for days after she told me she would be unavailable. Went to her house and knocked hard on her door when she happened to be on a call. Crossed a hard line for her, and now I am 99% sure I don't have a girlfriend anymore. TIFU by going camping in the woods alone, and I'm still scared as I write this, by user own Wrangler 6215. I decided it'd be a great idea to go camping in the woods alone. Just me, my tent, and a weekend of solitude to clear my head. No distractions, no noise, just nature. I thought it sounded peaceful. It was not. Everything was fine at first. I found a spot, pitched my tent, after struggling for way too long with the stupid poles, and even got a fire going, which I was way too proud of. By the time the sun started setting, I was feeling pretty good about myself. I had some snacks, a little folding chair, and a nice fire to keep me warm. Then night fell. Oh my god, I was not ready for how dark it gets in the woods. I thought my eyes would adjust, but nope. Every sound, the wind, the leaves, some animal far off, sounded like it was coming straight for me. I kept telling myself, "You're fine, this is just what nature sounds like," but I was holding my flashlight like a sword just in case. Around midnight, I started hearing rustling that sounded way too close to my tent. It wasn't just the wind. This was something moving. My heart was racing, but I convinced myself it was probably a raccoon or something. I stayed still, trying not to make any noise. But the sound just kept getting louder. And then, I swear, I heard what sounded like footsteps. Slow, deliberate footsteps, circling my tent. At this point, I'm losing it. I'm holding my pocket knife in one hand, shaking so bad I'm probably useless if anything happens. I tried to turn off my flashlight so whoever or whatever it was wouldn't see me, but I was too scared to even reach for the button. The footsteps stopped, and there was silence for a few minutes. I was about to convince myself I imagined it when something tapped on the side of my tent. I have never been so close to passing out in my life. I couldn't scream. I couldn't move. I just sat there, clutching my knife, waiting to die. Eventually, I heard the footsteps fade into the distance, and I forced myself to peek outside. I couldn't see anything, but I didn't feel safe staying there, so I packed up as fast as I could and booked it back to my car. It was the longest walk of my life, and I was 100% convinced something was following me the whole time. I drove home in the middle of the night, shaking the entire way. I still don't know what or who was out there, but I'm never doing this again. Ever. TLDR, went camping alone to relax, got terrified by what sounded like footsteps outside my tent, and ran for my life. 0/10, would not recommend. TIFU by not checking the sleeping pills my friend gave me before a flight, by user MakeruDev. So, I was flying to Japan and thought I'd get some sleeping pills to knock myself out on the plane. A friend offered me some she had at home, and dumb me, I didn't think twice about it. She has some mental health struggles, borderline, etc., but I just assumed she also had normal sleeping pills. I trusted her and thought, why not? Mid-flight, I popped the pills, expecting a peaceful nap. Instead, I felt super lightheaded and stuck in this weird state between being awake and asleep. I couldn't even get up to go to the bathroom, and when I landed, I had the worst headache ever and felt down and unmotivated the whole day. When I finally googled what I took, it turned out to be quizapine, an antipsychotic for schizophrenia or depression. No wonder I felt like crap. Apparently, taking meds you don't need can actually give you the symptoms they're meant to treat. Big facepalm moment. TLDR, trusted a friend and took sleeping pills she gave me before a flight, only to find out later it was quizapine, an antipsychotic. Felt lightheaded, stuck in a weird half-sleep state, and had a terrible headache after landing. Lesson learned, always check what you're taking, even if it's from someone you trust. Moral of the story, always check what you're taking, even if you trust the person giving it to you. Anyone else have a WTF did I just take story? Edit. I think many people thought I blame my friend for this, but that's not the case. I just meant, don't blindly trust when someone gives you meds, still double check. Happy face. TIFU by eating a homemade family-sized lasagna for every meal over 2 days, by user GoThripWood101. I've made a terrible mistake and learned a valuable lesson. Allow me to walk you through the last 3 days of hell. My housemate went on holiday Tuesday morning, leaving me alone for the week. I don't often get time alone, so I planned my time around working a little each day, then playing games for the rest of the day. About 12 p.m. in several joints I was getting hungry and had an amazing idea. I was gonna make a massive homemade lasagna and eat it over the course of the week. At this point I had no idea what it would do to my body, and if future me could talk to the me from Tuesday, I would have warned him. Day 1, Tuesday morning. So I get all the stuff and spend an hour or so making a massive, 7-layer lasagna with nearly a whole block of cheese, several tins of tomatoes and a layer of applesauce in the middle to give it a sweet tang. It was enough to feed 10 people easily. It smelled so good. Tuesday lunchtime. Portion 1. I fried some chips/fries and garlic bread and sat down to eat. It was amazing. I was so thrilled, it turned out great. Tuesday's evening. Portion 2. Still just as delicious, even better maybe after letting it sit for a few hours. Nothing brewing in my body yet, it was the calm before the storm. Tuesday midnight. Portion 3. I believe this was my first mistake. I had been smoking a few joints and watching AVGN on YouTube, and all of a sudden I remember that I made a massive lasagna. I tried to resist, but my stoner brain only lasted about 5 minutes before I had more and cooked some midnight garlic bread to go with it. It still tasted good. After eating I noticed I was starting to get acid relax. I took in lansoprazole and tried to sleep. Wednesday morning. Portion 4. I woke up and my stomach was grumbling, so I went and plated up another helping of lasagna. It tasted okay, not as delicious as my previous 3 helpings, but I put that down to it being early and I had just woken up. It's at this point my stomach acid kicked up again and I needed a shit really badly. I ran to the toilet and had the runniest shit I'd had in a long time. It was almost painful. Now at this point you would normally go, maybe I should lay off the lasagna for a bit, but it never occurred to me at the time that 4 meals of lasagna could produce such bad bowls. I felt better after, so quickly forgot about it. Wednesday lunchtime. Portion 5. I know it might seem crazy, but at about 2 p.m. I was hungry. I had work to get on with and didn't have the time to cook anything and nothing to grab quickly except lasagna. So back I went. At this point half the lasagna is gone and half remains. This time the lasagna didn't taste that great. But I ate it cause I needed to have something to give me some energy. I realized at the point that my stomach felt weird, like painful and uncomfortable. I made myself some coffee and expected a POO, but nothing came. Just a horrible feeling something wasn't right. Wednesday evening. Portion 6, the final portion. After finishing work I looked at the remaining lasagna. I thought, maybe it's cause I've had no salad or vegetables with it. That will make it taste better and give me something to sort my stomach out. So I made some salad, more garlic bread and the final portion. I knew immediately after eating it I had made a terrible mistake. My bowels started aching and making noises. I ran to the toilet and as my arse hit the seat, a volcano of red hot shit erupted from my anus. It was so painful, my arse was on fire. Some of the shit came out so violently that it somehow shot upwards, pebble dashing to toilet lid behind me. I don't even know how that's possible. Maybe shit collided with other bits of shit in motion and exploded. Either way it was the worst toilet experience of my life. Then came the smell. It was delayed almost, like I was in so much pain the universe said let's give him a minute before we hit him with the smell. It was like acid. This putrid gas almost instantly made me feel sick. I wanted to run out of the toilet and seek fresh air, but the shit was still exploding out of me. I had no choice but to hold my nose and breath through my mouth, which was horrible. All I thought was, I'm getting this acidic shit smell in my mouth. After what seemed like 5 minutes of lava bursting out of me, it stopped, but at what cost? My butthole was still on fire. It's like someone was holding a lighter to me anus. The smell was so bad I had to wipe quickly and escape this hell I had created, but my anus hurt so much every wipe was like dragging sandpaper over it. I winced with every wipe and was almost in tears, and it was so messy it took a lot of wiping. I stumbled out of the toilet, like a cowboy who's been on his horse for days. I couldn't sit down, all I could do was lie on my side in bed and try to get to sleep. Thursday morning. I woke up and I could instantly feel my anus burning. Before I'd even registered I was awake. What's worse is that I needed another shit. I was terrified at this point. After yesterday I had toilet trauma. I knew there was still a portion of 2 inside me and it wasn't gonna be good. It went just how you expect. It was another foul-smelling liquid shit that each strain felt like a knife in my anus. I held onto the towel rail and forced as much out as I could each push. I figured if I can get it all done quickly it wouldn't be so bad. It kinda worked, but I think the damage was done at this point, so I painfully cleaned myself and waddled to my desk and worked standing up for the rest of the day. Thursday lunchtime. The constant pain subsided, but I still had bad gas and every fart was agony. The smell was just as bad though. Something was still rotting inside me. At least I could sit down to work now. I wasn't hungry and decided to fast for the day. I didn't dare put more food in me. Thursday evening. As I type this, I'm lying in bed, on my side. I can feel the last of the lasagna on its way and I'm dreading going through this, even if it's one last time. My anus still burns when I fart and that is happening often. It's freezing cold, but I need the window open to let the smell of my approaching shit out. There's a lesson to be learned here. Don't under any circumstances eat nothing but lasagna and garlic bread for every meal for 2 days. Nothing good can come from it. Asterisk TLDR, I ate nothing but lasagna for every meal for 2 days and now my anus is on fire constantly and I smell like a rotten skunk. Asterisk. Edit, clearly my fuck up was leaving it out for 2 days. I appreciate all the concern. As for the applesauce, it wasn't a thick layer, I just spread some out on a layer of pasta. When it cooks, the moisture in it evaporates and you just left with the sugar really. I like sweet and savory. At least it united a portion of Reddit in food safety rules and a universal disgust for applesauce in lasagna. Thanks for the helpful advice and making me laugh a lot. TIFU by getting too drunk with my ex best friend by user beautiful_neat_3418. The other night I, 19M, was hanging out with my best friend, 18M, and it was going great. The next morning he had something OM, so he had to leave early, so he stopped drinking, and because I had nothing on till the next night I decided to keep drinking, which we both agreed was chill. We shared the bed because it's a double and we were close friends, and he slept shirtless. This is for context. I have quite a high alcohol tolerance, so there is only 3 times I recall drinking so much I blacked out. One of those times was that night. I awoke the next day and called my friend to see how he got on, and he told me that apparently last night I had spread moisturizer on his back the previous night. I had no clue that I had done this. I was trying to think back as to why and I had no clue in the slightest. I tried to think of why I would do that sober and the only 3 that I could think are that I was moisturizing and decided he looked dry, thought he looked dry without me already moisturizing, or his acne looked bad. I was embarrassed to all hell and felt so bad about it, and he obviously was hella uncomfortable by it. I apologized and we hung up. I called him a few minutes later to apologize again and then end the conversation on a nicer topic. It's a few days later and I tried to act like it didn't happen, but I've been so embarrassed and felt so horrible. So I had tried to message the same amount as normal. I woke up today to see I've been blocked/unfriended on all social media, and I believe my number has been too. And a few mutuals have also unfriended. I hate myself. Why did I do that? I have no clue what was going through my drunk head. All I know is it wasn't malicious or anything, it was probably me trying to be a good friend really badly. I've lost my best friend of 10 YRS. TL, DR, got drunk, moisturized my best friend while blackout drunk, and now I think everyone hates me.